We've lived in our home for 9 years now. About 3 years ago, new neighbors moved in with kids the same age as ours. We all became friends, and our kids play together pretty much all the time, so we all see each other and hang out almost every day. My dad started a construction company and builds custom log homes. To help promote the log packages they built with, they eventually built their home as a show house, which is basically a private luxury heavy timber log home in the middle of the mountains. There's a river that goes all the way around the property, and my parents' house is smack in the middle of this land peninsula, surrounded on all sides by a beautiful river. Then up at the house, they have a huge 3-level back deck that comes down to the custom in-ground pool my dad built out of flat river stones and boulders he harvested from the river. More recently, he's harvested boulders from other job sites while digging out foundations and built a huge boulder waterfall feature at one end of the pool. I take our kids to my parents' house a lot, minimum once a week, but often 2, 3 times a week in the summer to swim in the pool and the river, go fishing, hunt for rocks, catch critters. It's just a blast to be outside all day out there. I've been inviting our neighbors and their kids to come with us damn near weekly over the past 3 years, and they all have always blown me off or basically ignored that I've even said anything about going swimming or fishing at my parents' house. And I honestly never really thought much about it. I haven't had social media in 8 years, so there were no pictures on Facebook or Instagram for them to see of my parents' home for reference, and I typically just explain it as a pool and a creek we fish in. There's no need to embellish because, in my opinion, I don't give a rat's butt if your pool is a kiddie pool, one of those inflatable pools, or a damn water park. If you're kind enough to invite my family over to swim in the summer, we're coming and we're having a blast with you, hands down. I wouldn't even think twice, and if you're inviting my family and me to go fishing in your private fishing spot, I'll beat you there. I don't care if we're catching minnows with our hands. I love that shoot. Anyway, I never thought anything of them blowing off my invites until this month. I just always figured they were probably busy. I should mention the mom of one family is a teacher and is home all summer with the kids. The other is actually the kid's grandmother. She's younger, only in her 50s, and she's retired. Her daughter actually pays her to be home with the kids, so it's not like they're restricted by work schedules. We typically spend almost all day every day together over the summers, when we're not at my parents' house while the kids all play. This month, I activated my Facebook again so I could find local homeschool meetup groups. I also posted pictures and videos of us fishing, swimming, and cooking hot dogs on a campfire from our most recent visit at my parents'. The next day, my husband was out with our kids playing with the neighbors. And the first things they all said were, "Oh, when do we get an invite to the pool in the creek?" We're going to have a great summer this year now that we've inherited, her exact words, that beautiful pool and a private river to play in. We can't believe what a beautiful property that is. My husband said, "My wife's been trying to invite all of you for years now, and you've never wanted to go. Why are you all suddenly interested in going now?" Their responses were, "Well, we didn't know it was that tea kind of pool. We didn't know it was a real creek river. We thought it was just a regular pool, not a gorgeous pool like that. We thought it was just a little stream and not big enough to actually fish out of." When my husband told me all of this, I immediately said, "Well, now they're definitely never getting invited ever again." At first, my husband didn't understand why. But then I explained to him that, to me, how nice my parents' property is should have absolutely nothing to do with if they want to come swim and fish and have a good time with us or not. If we're really the friends that I thought we all were, they would want to join us and have fun with us, because that's what friends do. That them saying those things shows me that they formed some kind of opinion about me, based on my country bumpkin backwoodsness, that made them feel that the type of home/pool/property my parents had was an environment that is either unsafe or just plain unworthy of their time for over 3 years now. It's not like I asked them once 3 years ago. I've asked them weekly, every summer, for 3 years now. And why would I invite them to come fish in a river? If it was only a tiny stream with no fish in it, they're only chomping at the bit to come now because they saw the pictures on Facebook of how nice it is. So only now is it worthy of their time, which to me now shows they're unworthy of my invite. So am I the jerk for no longer inviting our neighbors and their kids to my parents' house to swim and fish? Almost forgot for clarification. Me asking weekly or bi-weekly if they wanted to come with us has never been obnoxious or pressuring them or demanding. It's always been me saying something like, I'm planning on taking the kids out to my parents' house to swim in the pool and maybe fish some next Wednesday. Y'all are more than welcome to come with us. As we're hanging out while the kids play, it's always been met with no response or something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, cool," and nothing more. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot to keep the peace, since they are unfortunately your neighbors. I would explain that due to some events, your parents are only allowing close family and friends to be at their property for the time being. And even if it's 5 or 10 years from now, if they ask, you say, yeah, still only close family and friends. Comment 2. Or if you know an old barn with a mud hole on the property, drive over there and tell them the Facebook pictures were just photoshopped. This is the real place. Have fun. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading. So a lot has happened in the past 2 weeks, and it's been a bit of pretty up and down. After my husband told me about the neighbors' sudden interest in my parents' place, I was pretty upset. I decided to confront them about it. I went over to their house and asked them why they never wanted to come before. They gave me the same excuses they gave my husband, but I wasn't buying it. I told them how I felt, that it seemed like they didn't value our friendship enough to spend time with us unless it was at a fancy place. They looked a bit taken aback, but they didn't really have a good response. A few days later, I made a mistake that changed everything. I was talking to another neighbor, someone who wasn't part of the original group but who I thought was a friend. I vented to her about the whole situation, thinking it was a private conversation. I didn't realize she was close friends with the other neighbors. She went and told them everything I said. This led to a huge fallout. The neighbors I confronted were furious. They felt betrayed and accused me of talking behind their backs. They said I was the one who didn't value their friendship because I was quick to judge them. This led to a lot of tension between us. Our kids, who used to play together all the time, started to feel the strain too. They didn't understand why they couldn't hang out with their friends anymore. It broke my heart to see them so confused and upset. I tried to explain it to them in a way they could understand, but it was hard. They just wanted things to go back to the way they were. In the midst of all this, my parents got wind of the situation. They were disappointed that their home had become a source of conflict. My dad, who had always been so proud of the place he built, felt like it was being used as a pawn in a petty argument. He told me that he didn't want any more drama, and that maybe it was best if we took a break from inviting people over for a while. This was a tough pill to swallow because my parents' place had always been a sanctuary for us. As the days went by, I started to reflect on my own actions. I realized that maybe I had been too quick to judge the neighbors. Maybe they had their own reasons for not wanting to come before, reasons that had nothing to do with the quality of my parents' property. I decided to try and make amends. I went over to their house again, this time with a more open mind. I apologized for my harsh words and for talking behind their backs. I told them that I valued their friendship and that I wanted to move past this. They were hesitant at first, but eventually they accepted my apology. We had a long conversation about everything that had happened. They explained that they had always felt a bit intimidated by my parents' place. They didn't want to feel like they were imposing or that they couldn't reciprocate the invitation. They also admitted that they had made assumptions about what the place was like based on my descriptions, and they felt bad about that. We agreed to start fresh and to be more open and honest with each other going forward. We decided to have a small get-together at my house just to ease back into things. It was a bit awkward at first, but as the evening went on, we started to relax and enjoy each other's company again. The kids were thrilled to be playing together, and it was a reminder of why we became friends in the first place. During this time, I also learned more about the neighbors' backgrounds. The mom, who is a teacher, shared that she had grown up in a very modest household and had always felt a bit insecure about her own home. She didn't want to feel like she was being judged for not having a fancy place to invite people to. The grandmother told me that she had always been a bit of a homebody and felt more comfortable in familiar surroundings. These insights helped me understand their actions better and made me realize that I had been too quick to judge. As we started to rebuild our friendship, I noticed that our interactions became more genuine. We were more open with each other and didn't feel the need to put up any pretenses. It was a relief to know that we could move past the superficial stuff and focus on what really mattered, our friendship and the happiness of our kids. Looking back, I realized that my mistake was not giving the neighbors the benefit of the doubt. I let my own insecurities and assumptions cloud my judgment. But I'm glad that we were able to work through it and come out stronger on the other side. It's a reminder that friendships, like any relationship, require effort and understanding. Thanks for reading. Am I the idiot for telling my mother to stop misgendering my girlfriend and causing a family meltdown? My mom is always looking for a fight. She goes out of her way to start problems and then acts like the victim with everyone. She is constantly complaining and arguing about anything and everything with her siblings and our family. She's rude and always commenting on people's bodies, lives. She's just mean. I, 17-year-old male, have a transgender girlfriend, 17-year-old female. She hasn't had any surgeries or hormone therapies because she is young and her parents don't accept her. Despite this, I still think she looks very feminine and pretty. My mom doesn't, and she makes sure I know it. She says things like, if he wants to be a girl, he can at least try a little harder, and points out her masculine features. She never does this to her face, thank God, but she says it to me all the time. The few times I have mentioned my girlfriend to someone in front of my mom, she makes sure to correct me and say, actually, he has a boyfriend that pretends to be a girl. It makes me so angry you have no idea. We've gotten into so many arguments over it, and I am sick and tired of it. The most she will do in front of her face is call her a he, until a few days ago. 4 days ago, my girlfriend left her backpack at my house by accident. My mom went through it without me knowing, and found her wallet, which had her driver's license in it, which of course says her legal name. She has been calling her this name ever since, both to her face and to everyone else. Yesterday, she came over and my mom would not stop with the name. She was going out of her way to say it like it wasn't even natural the amount of times she said it. My girlfriend just ignored it in the moment, but as soon as my mom left, she broke down crying. She said barely anyone calls her her preferred name, and now she can't even be called it here either. She said she hates how many issues she causes for herself and everyone, and she sometimes considers just pretending to be a boy, because at least then, no one would hate her. I felt so bad. I still do. I was so angry I had to go and confront my mom. We got into a big fight about how she is literally bullying a 17-year-old and how she is always causing fights. We go back and forth for a bit. She says she just speaks the honest truth and it's people's fault for getting offended. I told her, and that's why everybody hates you. It's true. My sisters and I hate her. My girlfriend hates her. My dad seems sick of her every day. Her siblings are either arguing with her or avoiding her. She has no friends. Everyone hates her and she can act like the victim all she wants, but there's no one else to blame but herself. She started crying, I'm assuming because she knows it's true. I hate to say it made me happy, but it did. I just went back to comforting my girlfriend. I don't know if what I said will even cause any change. I'm scared that I just made things worse. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but for your girlfriend's sanity, stop bringing her home. If her parents aren't accepting, try joining clubs together where you both can be out of the house and spend time together. Maybe debate or something. Or even go to the library to study and hang out. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I have a transgender child and it unalives me how cruel people are to them. The good news is that you can move out in a year and build a life that doesn't include your mom. Now for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since the last post. So after that big fight with my mom, things were tense at home. My girlfriend didn't come over for a while because she was too scared of facing my mom again. I tried to visit her as much as I could, but it was hard with school and everything. My mom and I barely spoke, and when we did, it was just awkward and cold. About a month ago, my dad finally had enough. He sat my mom down and told her that her behavior was unacceptable and that she needed to change. He even suggested therapy, but my mom just scoffed at the idea. She said she didn't need therapy and that everyone else was the problem, not her. My dad was really frustrated, and I could see that he was at his breaking point. Then something unexpected happened. My mom's sister, who she hadn't spoken to in years, reached out to her. She had heard about the situation from another family member and wanted to help. She invited my mom to stay with her for a while, hoping that some time away from us would help her gain some perspective. Surprisingly, my mom agreed. She packed her bags and left the next day. With my mom gone, things at home were a lot calmer. My girlfriend started coming over again, and we were able to spend time together without any drama. My dad seemed more relaxed too, and we even started having family dinners again. It felt like a weight had been lifted off our shoulders. But then, about 2 weeks ago, my mom came back. She seemed different, more subdued. She didn't say much about her time with her sister, but I could tell that something had changed. She apologized to my girlfriend and even started using her preferred name. It was a small step, but it meant a lot to us. However, things weren't perfect. My mom was still struggling with her own issues, and it was clear that she had a long way to go. She started seeing a therapist, which was a big deal for her. She didn't talk about her sessions much, but I could see that she was trying to work on herself. One day, my mom and I had a heart-to-heart conversation. She admitted that she had been wrong and that she was trying to change. She said that she didn't want to lose her family and that she was willing to do whatever it took to make things right. It was the first time I had seen her so vulnerable, and it made me realize that she was just as scared and confused as the rest of us. But before I tell you more about that, something else happened. My girlfriend's parents found out about our relationship. They were furious and forbade her from seeing me. They even threatened to send her to a conversion therapy camp. My girlfriend was devastated, and I felt so helpless. We tried to find a way to stay in touch, but it was really hard. Then my dad stepped in. He reached out to my girlfriend's parents and tried to reason with them. He explained that their daughter was just trying to be herself and that they needed to support her. It was a long and difficult conversation, but eventually, they agreed to let us see each other again, as long as we were careful. In the midst of all this, I found out something about my mom's past that I never knew. When she was younger, she had a close friend who was transgender. They were inseparable, but when her friend came out, my mom's parents forced her to cut ties with them. My mom never talked about it, but I think it had a big impact on her. It made me understand her a little better and why she was so resistant to accepting my girlfriend. As my mom continued her therapy, she started opening up more about her past. She told me about her own struggles with self-esteem and how she had always felt like she had to be perfect. She said that she had projected her own insecurities onto others, and that was why she had been so critical and mean. It was a lot to take in, but it helped me see her in a different light. Despite the progress, there were still moments of tension. My mom would sometimes slip back into her old habits, and it would cause arguments. But we were all trying to be more patient and understanding. My girlfriend was amazing through all of this. She was so strong and supportive, even when things were tough. One day, my mom and I were talking, and she said something that really stuck with me. She said that she was proud of me for standing up for my girlfriend and for not giving up on her. It was the first time she had ever said something like that to me, and it meant a lot. As we move forward, I know that things won't always be easy. My mom still has a lot of work to do, and there will be challenges along the way. But I feel hopeful for the first time in a long time. We're all trying to be better, and that's what matters. Thanks for reading. Am I the idiot for refusing to let my overbearing mother babysit my newborn? My husband and I are expecting our first baby in early August. Neither of us has any kids, and we're super excited to be parents for the first time. For us personally, we really want to emphasize the bonding time spent in the first couple of months between us and our baby as a family. And I've expressed several times to the people in our lives how important it is to us that we keep a low profile and stay close to home as much as possible within reason. We live out in a rural area on the same land as my parents. Mind you, it's several acres and separated by a lot of woods. I've had some concerns about potential boundary crossing once the baby is here, because we already have some issues with that now while it's just my husband and me, let alone with a new grandbaby getting thrown into the mix. There's never been a lot of respect towards me coming from them, especially my mother. I'm sure you're wondering why we live on their property then. Just know it's a long story. No, it's not ideal. And no, we never really wanted to live in this situation in the first place. And yes, we're trying to get out of it as soon as possible. I appreciate all that my parents have done for me, but at the same time, I would describe our relationship as pretty difficult, even though I think everyone involved does try to make the most of it. I don't think my parents are by any means bad people. We've just always struggled to see eye to eye on anything. While my childhood was in no means horrible, we will definitely be raising our child on very different principles than what I was raised on. And I have some concern with our child being around my parents alone in any capacity, because I don't trust that how my husband and I intend to raise him will be respected. Today, while out with my family, my mom mentioned for probably about the 5th time now how badly she wants to babysit our baby alone at their house, the very week that he is born. Our baby is due 4 days before my birthday. I've already made it very clear to anyone who's asked that my birthday will absolutely 100% be spent at home, assuming that our baby is here by then. That's no sacrifice on my part. I'm not bummed about it. Quite the contrary, actually. I think it'll be insanely special to have him as my early birthday gift, and I'm very excited about the notion. I responded to her the same way I always have, which is by telling her that there is absolutely no way I'm leaving our baby in the very first week that he's born. I try to keep the tone light, but still very firm and clear. Her response was also as it's typically been. She laughed at me and remarked at how ridiculous I am for wanting to be so clingy with the baby. She also went on to crack passive-aggressive jokes for the rest of the day about how I'm too involved already and reading too many parenting books, etc. Despite my plain and consistent response to her, my mom keeps insisting that my husband and I need to go out for this birthday date night and maybe even let the baby stay the whole night with them. Again, just to remind you, we're talking 4 days after he's born. Not to mention, my husband and I don't even do date nights out and never really have, which is a mutual decision. We're very simple people, and most of our favorite birthday celebrations have been spent at home together, sharing a home-cooked meal and a movie. I can't remember the last time we did a formal date night together, and honestly, we both truly prefer it as such and share a very happy marriage that way. My husband wants to give the benefit of the doubt and thinks maybe my mom is just genuinely trying to be nice, but I feel like her incessant pushing comes off as incredibly selfish of her. Maybe when our baby is a bit older, it would be a nice or even a welcome offer, but I just can't view the idea of her wanting to take our baby away from us, potentially for an entire night after he's only been on Earth for all of 4 days, as a nice gesture, especially after I keep telling her that there is no way it's happening. Am I the jerk? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your instincts are spot on. A newborn should be with their parents, especially in the early days when you're establishing routines and bonding. It's perfectly reasonable to not want your child to stay overnight elsewhere so soon. My sister experienced something similar, with our parents pushing to have her newborn over for the night within the first month. She stood her ground, explaining that it wasn't about mistrust, but about the baby's well-being and her comfort as a new mom. Eventually, they came to understand. It's vital for your husband to back you up fully in this, presenting a united front to his parents. They need to respect your decisions as parents. Stay firm, and if they buy plane tickets or show up expecting to override your wishes, stand your ground. You are the one who knows what's best for your baby and your recovery. Comment 2. Not the idiot. There is no way that baby should be anywhere but with mommy and daddy. Make sure the doors are locked and she has no keys. If need be, install security bars or chains on the doors, like in hotels. No one visits without an invitation. Keep her away from your baby unless your husband is home. She may decide to overrule you and walk out the door. He will be better able to stop her. Good luck, and enjoy that little one. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading. So a lot has happened in the past week, and I need to vent about it. First off, my mom's insistence on babysitting our newborn has only gotten worse. Last Tuesday, she showed up unannounced at our house with a crib and a bunch of baby supplies, saying she was just getting ready for when she would have the baby over. I was shocked and told her again that we weren't planning on leaving the baby with anyone for a while. She brushed me off and said, "You'll change your mind once you see how tired you are." Then on Thursday, my husband and I had a bit of a scare. I started having contractions, and we thought the baby might be coming early. We rushed to the hospital, but it turned out to be a false alarm. While we were there, my mom called multiple times asking if she should come to the hospital. I told her no, that we were fine, and would let her know if anything changed. She showed up anyway, and it was really stressful having her there when we were already on edge. After we got home, my husband and I had a long talk about boundaries. We decided to set some firm rules with my parents, especially my mom. We agreed that if she couldn't respect our wishes, we would have to limit contact for a while. I was really nervous about this conversation, but I knew it had to happen. On Saturday, we invited my parents over to talk. I explained how important it was for us to have this bonding time with our baby and that we needed them to respect our boundaries. My dad was understanding, but my mom got really defensive. She accused me of trying to keep her grandchild away from her and said I was being unreasonable. It turned into a huge argument, and she stormed out, saying she wouldn't bother us anymore. I felt terrible, but I also felt relieved that we had finally set some boundaries. My husband was really supportive and reminded me that we were doing what was best for our family. The next day, my dad called and apologized for my mom's behavior. He said she was really hurt and that she just wanted to help. I told him I understood, but that we needed her to respect our wishes. He said he would talk to her and try to get her to see our side. On Monday, my mom showed up again, this time with an apology. She said she realized she had been overbearing and that she would try to give us space. I was skeptical, but hopeful that things might improve. However, the next day, I made a mistake that changed everything. I was talking to a friend on the phone about the situation and accidentally mentioned that we were thinking about moving away from my parents' property. I didn't realize my mom was nearby and overheard the conversation. She was furious and accused me of planning to take her grandchild away from her. I tried to explain that we were just considering our options, but she wouldn't listen. Since then, things have been really tense. My mom has been distant and barely speaks to me. My dad is caught in the middle and trying to keep the peace. My husband and I are more determined than ever to find a place of our own, but it's been really stressful trying to navigate all of this while preparing for the baby. In the midst of all this, I've been reflecting on my relationship with my mom. Growing up, she was always very controlling and had a hard time letting me make my own decisions. I think a lot of her behavior now is rooted in that. She wants to be involved and helpful, but she doesn't know how to do that without overstepping. My husband and I have also been talking a lot about how we want to raise our child differently. We want to create a more open and respectful environment where our child feels heard and valued. It's been eye-opening to see how much my own upbringing is influencing my decisions now. Despite everything, I'm trying to stay positive and focus on the excitement of becoming a parent. My husband has been amazing through all of this, and I feel really lucky to have him by my side. We're both committed to creating the best possible environment for our baby, even if it means making some tough decisions. Thanks for reading. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!